I have this shitty roof rack that has these barriers here, and so that's when I got this cheap Chinese charge controller. If I install this and I start getting 500 watts on a bright sunny day, then I'll know that was my problem. If I don't, then I've got more problems that I still have to figure out what those are. Why in the hell would I want to buy another one of those so I have to pull start two of those things? One's bad enough. Done. Next thing I need to do is, well, first thing I need to do is I have a shelf here that needs to be set up. This one is going in my other storage unit to replace all these things that I took out of there, so I don't just have a giant pile of stuff that I can't find anything in. And once I get this set up, then I'll be able to stay organized. And the next thing I got to do is make some upgrades to the electrical system. I've got some serious firepower. As soon as I get this shelf built and can get all this stuff laid out and organized so it's not just all laying on the floor, I'm going to start unboxing that, taking some measurements. I don't know if I can get this all done today or how long it's going to take, so I'm going to have to disassemble most of this battery compartment area. But this is going to be a game changer for me, and this has been, I think it's about time. So let me go ahead and get this built, and then we'll get started with this other stuff. Okay, so that is done. So let's go ahead and start tearing into some of these boxes here. Okay, so this is the Lifetime DC to DC battery charger. This is 60 amp. Right now I have a Stinger battery isolator which goes from my alternator back to the house batteries, and that'll charge while I'm driving, but I don't have an appropriate, like, I guess that's just kind of like a half-assed way to do it, and this is going to be a much better way to do it. I don't know if I'm going to get more power out of it, but it definitely is going to be the proper way to do it. As far as like it's going to have the battery protections in place, it's going to charge it up to the proper amount and then stop when it's done. So looks like I got to get my own cables, huh? Well, that's fine. So this one I can select the battery type here, outputs, this will go to my battery, and then don't know what those things are, and then the inputs from the alternator. So I mean, if this is charging lithium at 14.6 volts times 60 amps, like, you know, I don't know the math offhand, but that's, if I get that from this, as opposed, that's more than what I'm getting now. The idea is that this will improve the charge that I get while I'm driving around, so maybe I can get more power, hopefully, and if nothing else, it's just going to make sure that these batteries are charged properly, because I got the Lifetime batteries 1 year ago, and I replaced my old battery bank, so, you know, maybe this will help these last longer and make sure that I don't damage them or whatever. So the only thing is I don't have one of these in my setup now, so I'm gonna have to find a new place for this. Like, this is a whole new component. So alright, so that's one. And then this will be a new charge controller. So when I built my van, I put a Renogy 40 amp charge controller in there, and when like a year or so into this, I upgraded my solar panels. So I had 400 watts I swapped that out to 600 watts because when I did this, the 4 panels were like 2 in front and 2 in back, and they were wider than this. And like a year into it, I figured out that, hey, I can't remember what came first, but I don't know if I saw that rocket box or I saw these panels first, but either way, I was like, well, if I have 2 of these panels, the width is like narrower, and that would give me room to put that rocket box up there, which I wanted in the beginning, because the 400 watts that sat next to each other were a little bit wider, and because this roof rack, I have this shitty roof rack that has these barriers here, you can't put anything over the edge. So I swapped it out, then I got 600 watts, and I was like, well, I need a bigger charge controller to deal with that. And so that's when I got this cheap Chinese charge controller, which is 60 to 65 amp, so it says, and I don't even know if that's right. I don't know if it's putting out the proper amount, or I think it's capping the power I get from these panels, because I never get more than like 250 watts. I should be getting at least 500, you know, after whatever kind of losses you get. So my thoughts are that a new charge controller, like a quality one, would solve that problem. I mean, you think about it, like for probably 5-6 years, however long it's been, I've been getting like 200 watts of solar out of my 600 watt array, you know, and I've been just racking my brain for this whole time trying to figure out what's the problem, because I bought a charge controller that should handle that, but I'm thinking that maybe they're lying, you know, maybe it's not really 65 amp or something along that line. So this guy, this is the 150 volt 70 amp, so this is got more power than this one that I have in there allegedly has, and it will give me room to upgrade. Like I could add more panels and this thing would handle it. Plus it's Bluetooth, so I can see everything that's going on. So if I install this and I start getting 500 watts on a bright sunny day, then I'll know that was my problem. If I don't, then I've got more problems that I still have to figure out what those are. But, you know, like Victron is like one of the top of the line brands, so probably a good investment, and I've been driving around with the cheap Chinese one for all these years. I guess the moral of that story for me is just go ahead and spend the money and get the better one up front, because then, I mean, how much power have I been losing out on after all those years? So this thing is going in, it's going to replace the other one. So this is the opposite of the other one. This is the AC to DC charger. So this is an 80 amp. So this one is going to replace this thing right here. So this is the same thing in AC to DC. This is what, a Power Max, but it's only a 45 amp at 12 volts. So this thing should basically give me double the power, is the thought behind this. So this one I use with this Predator 2000 watt generator, you know, which has a running watt capacity of only 1600 watts. And for maybe close to 3 years now, I've used this as a way to, like, because like I was saying, the charge controller is not giving me full solar. So frequently I would run out of battery capacity. And then what do? You know, and it was really bad. Like if I was in the Pacific Northwest and like in the wintertime or something, it's so far north in latitude, the sun is like at such an angle that you're not really getting good solar because it's wintertime, plus there's tall trees everywhere, so you're not getting hardly any sun. So I would literally just have to get in the van and drive for like 2 days straight, which is fine because there's a lot of stuff to go and do and see up there, so it worked out. But like that was the only way I had to recharge my batteries, take a 12-hour drive or something. So now with this guy in this generator, I can just park and run the generator overnight or a day or something like that, however long, depending on how low the batteries are, you know. But you're looking at, like, if the batteries are really low, say 25% range, somewhere in there, you're looking at like 20 hours of running the generator to charge that. So that's like literally 2 10-hour sessions. This should cut that in half. So you know, I don't have to sit there and just feel like I'm having to be a prisoner to just running a generator just to recharge my batteries. I can get that done in just a fraction of the time. This one comes with the cables, which is nice. But anyways, yeah, this 80 amp, that'll do. And so that's going to be a huge game changer for me. And then now we have, oh Jesus, that's huge. This is the Renogy 3000 watt inverter. Oh man, that's gigantic. Okay, so like this is like longer than, anyway, this thing is, okay, so this is going to replace my, I mean, there's nothing wrong with this inverter I have. This thing is really good. This is the Xantrex. This is a Pro Watt SW2000. This thing has been really good. Nothing wrong with it. I've had it for a long time. It's still running really good. So even better sign. This is a really good brand, but wow, that's a huge size difference. But at the same time, I figure if I'm replacing all this other stuff, I may as well replace this, because this is just barely at the limits of what is, you know, probably, like, I use a lot of power, and sometimes this thing is not up to the task. Like this thing, for example, would not power that 10,000 BTU air conditioner, and my thoughts are that this one should, with 3,000 running watts. And I mean, 2,000 running watts is more than enough to power the AC. It's the startup, and this has a 6,000 watt peak. I'm thinking that this will work, because if it does, I'm going to put that air conditioner and replace this one. And the reason I'm going to do that is because although this one I think probably would be fine, but one thing I'm noticing right away, just in the few days that I've used it, and it's not even super hot out yet, but it's hot enough to where maybe you'd want to start to use it a little bit. But this thing is, like most air conditioners, it'll cycle. So it'll blow cold air for a while, and then once the thermostat gets to the temperature, or the temperature gets to where the thermostat is set, it'll just turn off. And then the fan will run for a while, and the van will heat back up, and eventually when it gets to a certain temperature, this will kick back on. But then it gets hot when that time that it's off, and sometimes the fan even turns off. And it's like, well, what the hell's going on? Like, I would kind of like the fan to still blow, but the fan will shut off, and the only way I can get that stuff to come back on is to turn the temperature down to get it to kick back on. And meanwhile, you're sitting there sweating like, why isn't my air conditioner working? So this one has the inverter technology, so that means that the compressor can throttle different speeds. And so instead of cycling on and off, it'll just stay running nonstop. And so it'll, in theory, it'll use, like say if I run it on a lower setting, it'll use maybe the same amount of power as this 5,000 BTU, because it has the ability to run at a lower compressor speed. And I have the Zero Breeze, the little portable AC up front, and that has the same thing. It doesn't cycle on and off like these things do. It just runs, and you can just hear it kind of gradually picking up or slowing down, but it's constantly blowing out cold air. And that's what this one will do. And so not only will it be stronger if I need it, but it'll be more efficient potentially, use less power, and do a better job at cooling the van. So in order to do that, if I run it off the battery bank, I'll need a bigger inverter. And so that's part of the reason I'm doing this. Plus with this, I can run pretty much anything. Air fryer, like whatever I want. I mean, I would love for this to be 4,000 watt running, but I couldn't find one. So I think this will do the job though. The last thing I bought on my spending spree here was a new generator. Okay, so this is the Max Speeding Rods generator. This is a 4,000 watt peak and 3,200 watts running, and that's on gas. It's a dual fuel, so I can run it on propane too, and then propane runs at 3,600 peak and 3,000 running. And so this is obviously to replace this one, so this is basically almost twice the power. Plus I have the option of running on propane, and it'll run longer just maybe not as much power. But so not only does it have that going for it, and I mean, it's basically the same size, if not a tiny bit smaller. So the other generator I was considering was the Predator 5000, which is substantially bigger than this. And the way I drive around with this thing folded up, this thing just fits perfectly back here. But with the 5000 watt, that wouldn't be the case. And so I tried buying all these different extensions, you know, to try to like see if I could stretch this out a little bit, but then it gets out too far and it doesn't even look practical, you know. So I may have had to have taken the bumper off, and like there's just all this different stuff. And then how do you kind of conceal it? Like this, I can just throw it in the bag. But with that, I would have had to build like a box and different contraption to get that to work, and it didn't seem practical. Plus it's super heavy, so to put this down is no big deal, just to maneuver this thing around. But with that 5000 watt, which is like 100 pounds, it wouldn't probably be practical to even put this thing down if I needed it. But this thing being the same size as this but double the power was very intriguing. And not only that, but it's got the push button start. It has Bluetooth, so I can start this from my phone. I don't even have to get out of the van to do that, to start or stop the generator. You know, and the price was not too bad. This was, I think, $8.99, and they're charging $5.99 for that. So it's a no-name brand, but it's a pretty good deal, considering what you're getting. This obviously will be run for the same purposes, mainly to run through the AC to DC charger, to recharge the battery bank as needed. Possibly, you know, I'll use it at times to run the AC or other stuff. It just gives me a lot more options with that extra power. And the fact that I don't have to get out of the van and start yanking on this pull cord like I do with this stupid thing, which already broke on me once, and I had to tear it apart and replace that, I think it'll just make my life 10 times easier. And that is key when you're doing this, is you need things to be as simplistic and easy as possible, because it's already a big challenge. So it comes with a cover. It comes with the adapters that you need. So all these different plugs here, there's 3 different ones in here, like these ones that you use for your RV. So it comes with those. It comes with the propane adapter, right? You know, so like you don't have to buy any of this stuff. It comes with some tools to get, like, you know, a funnel, spark plug wrench, that kind of stuff. It comes with the parallel cable. So, you know, like Harbor Freight, they're charging separately just for this parallel connector kit. For like, if you want to connect 2 of those, why in the hell would I want to buy another one of those? So I have to pull start 2 of those things. One's bad enough. So this comes with that. So like if you want to buy another one of these, you could double this up and get, you know, 6,400 watts of running time on gas, or 6,000 watts for propane. The only really bad thing about this particular one is because it's smaller like this, you know, it's going to have a smaller gas tank. So like the gas tank is only like a gallon, basically same as the Predator over there. So it's not going to last very long if you're using higher watts. Like, so the Predator, you know, I could run this thing for, I don't know, if I'm charging my batteries and pulling like 500 watts out of it or something, I could run this for 8 hours, 9 hours. I mean, you can get 10, 12 hours out of this depending on, like, if you're running it at a lower capacity. This thing, if you're using more watts, the gas is going to go a lot faster. So you're going to have to refill this more often, which kind of might suck. You're going to get more out of propane, but the thing about this I'm not sure about is say this thing lasts like 10 hours and I use, you know, 8 or 9 hours worth, and I've just got a teeny bit of propane in there. Well, I'm not going to go and replace the tank until it's empty, so I don't want to throw away propane. So now I have to go somewhere with not enough fuel and then have it run out and then go replace it the next time, or I'd have to buy a second tank that's full, and so then I can just finish using the first tank up and then switch over to the second. So then I have to run and carry like 2 tanks. So I'm not sure how that's going to work if I decide propane is the best way to run it for my purposes, but that's pretty much the only drawback I can see for this generator. Otherwise, it's going to do the job like that it's supposed to do, and seems like a pretty good value. So we'll find out when we start using it how that holds up and if that holds true, and time will tell. Next thing I'm going to do is start poking around in here, taking some measurements and seeing where things are going to go. And once I kind of get a game plan for that, then I'll just, if I have enough time, I'll start now. I'll just start disassembling things and putting in the new components.